What's up, Facebook? What's up, YouTube? Thank y'all so much for being here. I have to make an update to my last video because I was doing a video talking about how they were thinking about freezing the funds on GoFundMe. Well, it looks like it's official. GoFundMe has given their statement and they're saying that they're freezing the last 9 million. I guess they raised around 10 million, got a million, and now the rest of it is being freezed and possibly redirected to charities and organizations against the will of people who donated to these truckers. So it's very interesting. I have the full statement from GoFundMe. I'm going to read it for you. And also, they changed their wording. So a lot of people didn't catch on to this. I did because I took screenshots earlier. You know, I'm like a psycho ex-girlfriend out here. Screenshot. I'm just kidding. But seriously, I mean, for my job, I have to screenshot a lot of like public information. I'm not talking about like screenshotting private people stuff, but you get the joke. I screenshotted the entire statement and now I went back to the website and it's changed. So I'm going to give you the original version first, and then I'm going to tell you what they changed in it. It's very interesting. But I don't know how this is legal. I don't know what the terms of the service say, etc. But it's one thing to cancel the funds, right? That's terrible. It's BS. I don't want to curse. I'm going to try. But it's another thing to just be like, yeah, we'll give you a few weeks to get your money back. But if not, we're going to give that money to somewhere else, you know? And that's what they're saying. It's really messed up. And before we read the terms and conditions, these are the games that they play. Okay. When George Floyd died, rest in peace, brother. You got statues around the world. You're the new MLK. When George Floyd died, you know, there were riots and protests turned to riots. There were peaceful ones. There were non-peaceful ones. Things were burning. People were dying. And the news looked at you in the face and tried to pretty much downplay how bad it really was. And then they raised hundreds of millions of dollars. There's a point I'm getting to, regardless of what you think of that. They raised hundreds of millions of dollars off the backs of dead George Floyd to be like, hey, this is bad. Pay us a lot of money. We're the Democrats. We're progressive causes through Act Blue, whatever. Give us your money and we'll help you somehow, even though they didn't. They raised hundreds of millions of dollars. They didn't care that there were people dying. They didn't care that things were getting burned all around the country. That didn't affect their fundraising, but they will try to find one fringe person. They'll make it up. They'll either, you know, find the one bad egg out of like a million people, or, you know, I don't even know if I believe these people anymore. You know, you have mainstream US people working for the State Department talking about false flags with Russia, crisis actors. Like, this is things that they're saying. They're saying Alex Jones level stuff. And then if I were to say, well, what's to stop Justin Trudeau lying about the truckers? What's to stop you from staging a situation? They're like, oh my God, that's Alex Jones. You're saying the same thing about Russia. If it's not possible, then why would Russia do it? If it is possible, why couldn't someone else do it? You get what I'm saying? These are obviously possible things that they cover under the rug for 30, 40, 50 years. And then all of a sudden, when they're trying to start a war with Russia, they sound like Alex Jones on a Wednesday night, you know, talking about false flags, stage stuff. You know, that's the State Department and the Biden administration saying Russia's going to do that. So I'm just curious and skeptical in general. Where is all this massive violence? I haven't heard much about it besides for the canceling the GoFundMe. And if that's the precedent of if there's some violence at all, then you have to cancel all the GoFundMes and all the fundraisers. I don't know that that was the exact type of methodology they had during the summer of 2020, but I'm not quite sure how GoFundMe operated then. All right, without further ado, thanks for being here. Appreciate you guys. We got 2,000 people on Facebook, 200 people on YouTube. Here's the entire statement from GoFundMe. This is the original statement, and then I'm going to tell you what they changed because they probably got backlash. I mean, they're going to get backlash anyway, but here it says, update GoFundMe statement on the Freedom Convoy 2022 fundraiser. This is the GoFundMe statement. GoFundMe supports peaceful protests, and we believe that was the intention of the Freedom Convoy 2022 fundraiser when it was first created. We now have evidence that the previously peaceful demonstration has become an occupation with police reports of violence and other unlawful activity. Yeah, but when the American government like holds up Syria or Libya, is that occupation or no? Just when a bunch of truckers want to be, you know, kicked away from mandates, now all of a sudden it's an occupation. But anyway, they say there's an occupation with police reports of violence and other unlawful activity. This is GoFundMe. That was my opinion, but this is back to the GoFundMe. To ensure GoFundMe remains a trusted platform, we will work with local authorities to ensure we have a detailed, factual understanding of events taking place on the ground. Following a review of relevant facts and multiple discussions with local law enforcement and city officials, this fundraiser is now in violation of our terms of service, Term 8, which prohibits the promotion of violence and harassment and has been removed from the platform. Organizers provided a clear distribution plan for the initial 1 million that was released earlier this week and confirmed funds would be used only for participants who traveled to Ottawa to participate in a peaceful protest. Given how this situation has evolved, no further funds will be directly distributed to the Freedom Convoy organizers. We will work with organizers to send, here's the interesting part. We will work with organizers to send all the remaining funds to credible and established charities verified by GoFundMe. All donors may submit a request for a full refund until February 19, 2022 using this dedicated refund form. Now, I did not donate to these people, but if you did, I suggest you get your money back before GoFundMe sends it somewhere that you didn't ask for. Everybody who paid money wanted it to go to the truckers in Canada. Nobody asked for it to go to other charities. So you read this type of wording, right? I'm going to read you what they changed because they changed it. Very sneaky, very, very sneaky indeed, the GoFundMe people. But, they're saying we're going to give it to charity. So here's the changing. I'm going to read the new website now. They just updated it. It says, we will work with organizers to send all remaining funds to credible and established charities chosen by the Freedom Convoy 2022 organizers and verified by GoFundMe. So now to appease the crowd, they put that in bold and said, oh, no, we're not going to choose them. It's going to be the freedom organizers choosing them. We just have to verify them. Here's the thing, though. We love giving money to charity. We're charitable people, but this is not for a charity. This was a protest against the abusive mandates, the authoritarian mandates, the psychotic lockdowns that now John Hopkins said had a very little positive impact and had a massive negative impact that you psychopaths put on everyone for 2 years, and you're treating us like dirt. We're not looking for a charity right now. We're not looking for one of your stupid organizations. No offense. I'm not calling all organizations stupid. There's a lot of great ones. Cancer research, feeding people, but I don't, who are they choosing to, reroute it to? This was for a reason. There's other times for different charities. And I'm not trying to call charity stupid, but in my opinion, there are stupid charities like the Anti-Defamation League. It's like, let's give it to BLM and the ADL. So they could push this Marxist ideology and call you a racist anti-Semite if you disagree. It's like, let's not say we did. Let's put the money where it was supposed to go. And then if you want to donate to these other nonsensical charities that are making the world worse, then you could do it on your own terms. So just unbelievable. I would say not surprising. GoFundMe has a past of doing this constantly, double standards. It depends if you're right wing or left wing, conservative or liberal, and most importantly, pro-establishment or anti-establishment. If you go against big tech, big media, big government, big pharma, you're not going to get any favor on big tech. Okay, this is the big fact check scheme. You had Biden recently. Joe Biden stood up there and said, gun manufacturers are the only ones who have no liability for their products. What about the products that you're trying to force in everybody's arms, dummy? Big Pharma. Does Moderna, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, do they have liability for side effects and injury? No, they don't. They're protected under the PrEP Act. So it's like, is there a fact check for Joe Biden? Maybe. I haven't seen it yet, though. It seems like the fact checkers are just like a PR front for Democrats, big pharma, big government, big media. It's like a spin doctor. It's like, here's a straw man argument that 5 people said, and here's why it's partially false, and here's what we want you to believe. But there's a shred of evidence. It's like, we see what you're doing. We see how our cities were burned all across the country, and you allowed people to raise hundreds of millions of dollars. Not just blaming GoFundMe specifically, but ACT Blue, a lot of places raised hundreds of millions of dollars, and they didn't care that there was violence. They didn't care that there was bloodshed. They didn't care that there was property destruction, setting many neighborhoods back, 10 years, people not wanting to live there anymore because of the destruction caused. I mean, Los Angeles was one of the casualties. I was already on my way out of Los Angeles, so I was going to leave anyway. I already gave my 30 days. While that was all going, I fled the city because it was a psychotic nightmare. But a lot of people I know said, yeah, that was what did it for me. I was going to invest my future and my economics into LA. But once they just let the whole city run rampant, that's when I realized I needed to leave. So they left all of these cities worse, raised hundreds of millions of dollars off them. Didn't say, well, if that person causes violence, then it's this person. And I want people to be very careful. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Just be prepared, because you have to understand, if you're pro-freedom, if you're pro-liberty, if you're pro-humanity, if you're pro-God, if you're anything that's good in this world, and you're not just a psychotic, puppet for big pharma, big government, and big media, they are looking to have such a different set of rules for you. It's not even funny. So I just want to walk you through what they're trying to do here at the Capitol, at the trucker convoy. This is like the new normal of what they're going to do across North America. So at the Capitol, right? Some people did stupid stuff, right? But here's the difference between at BLM. When BLM, whatever, I'm not trying to just be like a generic Antifa, whoever it was. I don't even know if these people had any affiliations to the group. Maybe they were just degenerates trying to like rob a liquor store. But when all that crap happened during the George Floyd riots, the government did not come through and say, hey, this turned into multiple people died, billions of dollars of property damage, disgraceful amounts of destruction. Let's blame this organizer, right? Let's throw this BLM organizer in jail because he led a protest here and then they did it here. Let's investigate this news reporter because she said it's a good idea. There's plenty of celebrities bailing people out of jail, plenty of celebrities saying, good job, this is fine, go destroy everything, backing them up. You had the NBA and the NFL essentially rebrand to show support for everything that happened there and really no condemnation for all the violence and destruction. And nobody gets blamed. I mean, you're probably better off, and I don't want to tell people to do this because you should follow the law, but it's like you're better off being like a psycho Antifa Portland person who destroys the federal courthouse and attacks police officers than if you're a Trump supporter who's standing outside listening to Grandpa Moderna, the vaccine salesman, con them into another psyop. But in general, you're better off being left-wing doing something way worse because I'm reading reports that they're getting off of charges for attacking police officers. And you should never do that. I'm not telling people to do that. I'm just saying the double standards are insane. You literally get charged harder and investigated harder if you're simply just standing there and have a bad political opinion. So people need to realize that when you're left-wing, not only are they not blaming the entire circumference of everything that's going on, but they're only barely blaming the people who actually did actual crime and violence who should get charged. If you're right-wing, God forbid you're even in the radius. It's like, I literally did get a call I'm not saying from who, I've said it before, over the Capitol. I wasn't even there. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to ask me what I know. And I'm like, I wasn't even in Washington, D.C. Why? Because I'm an influencer, right? They see that I have some sort of influence and people that watch me that I've spoken to. I mean, there were hundreds of thousands of people there. So 6 degrees of separation. Of course, I know somebody there because who doesn't? Even liberals knew somebody there. I mean, there were probably close to 1 million people there that day, and 99% of them were peaceful and had no idea what was going on with the destruction. But the point I'm getting is like, if you're right wing, this is what it looks like they're trying to do with the trucker protests. Well, we found someone who did something wrong. Did it really happen? I don't know. I don't know that I believe them. Maybe. Is it possible? Sure. Yeah. If you have 1 million people protesting in Canada, is it possible that one of them breaks the law? Duh. But do I believe fully that they're out there being violent? Not at all. I think it's a media Trudeau spin, but in general, say that happens. Well, now the whole GoFundMe gets shut down. Is that the same? No, of course not. They're not going to shut down everything because of one person, but not only can you get shut down because of one person, lose $9 million because of one person, they could charge you. We're becoming a banana republic where they could charge. If you look at the Brandon Straka stuff, and listen, I don't want to go through it all because I don't want to get involved in legal stuff. And I'm not Brandon Straka, but in general, I'm reading, they're like, he said, hold the line. I mean, people say that on television all the time. Hold the line, hold the line. Like that could mean a million things. In football and this, it's literally something people say at midterms. We need to vote Republican and hold the line. It has nothing to do with violence. It has everything to do with like, let's win, or let's just stand here. It could mean a million different things. And they're like, well, he said this and he did this and he did this. So, technically he's part of it. And it's like, what about the, news hosts who were telling people that it was pretty much okay to destroy their own neighborhoods? Do they get charged? So the double standards are massive, and it's very, very creepy and very scary because you should never be afraid of peacefully protesting. It's important in any democracy. You need to be able to protest your government or you're not free. You might as well just live in communist China, which America's getting to that point. You have Republicans on Twitter, they're like, oh, the Chinese are genocidal. It's like, dude, when you tweet that, you're like, oh, the communism is so bad and China is so bad. It's like, you're going to get done tweeting that and you're going to tell your 10-year-old to go to school wearing a mask, so she could play tuba through a freaking black mask covering her breathing holes. Like, this country is really not that much better anymore. I like America more than China, but we're not like this beacon of freedom in the world. We're pathetic. They use their authoritarianism in some ways to like stop kids from playing video games and work out. And in America, it's like, be gay or we're going to beat you over the head. Not literally, but you get what I'm saying. It's like our country's disgusting. And I'm not saying we're worse than China, but we're getting pretty damn close. So I'm tired of Republicans being like, oh my God, the Uyghurs. It's like your kids are going to be the Uyghurs in 5 years. Like, don't you keep going down this path. It's not going to be much better. But in general, there needs to be peaceful protests in this country, but there's really not. Because if you show up to a peaceful protest, say the wrong thing, stand in the wrong place, and, don't even do anything illegal, they could still technically charge you with conspiracy to do this or that. And it's like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. I hope that Canadian government doesn't do that, because you got 99.9999999, if not 100% of truckers. They're all trying to do something peaceful and hold the line against authoritarian tyranny. Is this the new president we have to deal with? Well, one person did something wrong, one person did something bad, so everybody here is involved. What about if I said, I support the truckers protest, right? I say, hey, I'm Anomaly and I support the truckers protest. What if someone at the truckers protest does something stupid and then they try to charge me, right? The federal government or something. They're like, well, Anomaly, they're conspiring through his Facebook page. It's like, this is how creepy the world seriously is, and I'm not trying to scare people, because I'm not a scared man. I'm not out here scaring myself. It's just, this is the reality of how bad the double standards are in this country. You are literally better off being a psycho left-wing activist who attacks police than you are a peaceful right-wing activist who's just standing there in solidarity with truckers or, Grandpa Moderna, the vaccine salesman, which wasn't personally there, but I don't think everybody there was there to do anything wrong. I think they just believed that Donald Trump had a plan and that which he didn't, but whatever. It's just like, it is what it is. That's the world we live in. Just be understanding of it. Don't let that scare you away from peaceful protest, because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to take away our freedom of speech and expression. But just be aware of it, because it's just crazy. I have to triple, quadruple think everything I do now, because I'm not living in this like American world anymore where it's like, oh, you could just say what you feel and be honest and be a good person. It's like, no, I got to quadruple check everything I say, because I know that I'm being watched by feds, people who hate me, NPR. I'm not scared about it. It's like, you're welcome for the entertainment. If there's any fed that watches Anomaly, like, you're welcome. What a great job. You get to sit here and watch my stream for 2 hours. You're a lucky employee. You get to learn stuff, have a great time, understand what great Americans are like. But that's the reality that I live in. It's like, I'm not trying to be loose with my words too much. I try to be funny. I'm not trying to be a phony, but I'm like, I see them charging people for making jokes or saying something or tweeting unpopular things and trying to tie them to this person, to this person. So I'm like, leave me the hell alone. Like, I literally just don't want to be a slave. Is that too much to ask for in this country? Are you a police officer snitching to GoFundMe for Canada? You should be ashamed of yourself. We're living in a world now where you can't even do anything. I'm not a slave. I'm not a lab rat. I'm not a peasant. I'm not a serf. I don't want to be a slave. That's all I want. I want you to stop trying to treat me like one. I want you to stop trying to shove a test up my nose every 5 months like I have a virus when I'm healthy and happy. I don't want to be force masked against my will like a prisoner captured by a foreign country. I don't want to be psychologically and mentally abused by the media and the government. And I don't want to be physically assaulted by psychotic injection psychopaths with Fauci ouchies and Trumpy pumpies, when the companies that make the Fauci ouchies and Trumpy pumpies don't have liability for side effects, injuries, and deaths. So I consider that literally assault, trying to inject me with something that they have no liability for. Even if they had liability for it, I don't care. Get the hell away from me, you psychos. So that's all I want. Is that a big problem? That's what the truckers want. Is that really a big problem? That's what a lot of people on the right wing want. Is that a problem? That's what a lot of people on the left wing want. They're just too scared to say something because society is so psychotic. Now they're banning Michelle Malkin from Airbnb. I don't want to just sound like I'm complaining a lot, but this is why I try to hold Republicans' feet to the fire metaphorically. Literally, they're like, well, Anomaly said he's going to hold Rand Paul's feet to the fire, and that's assault. Let's arrest him. It's like, no, I'm talking metaphorically. Hold their feet to the fire. It's a freaking term. You know what I'm saying? And I actually like Rand Paul. He's one of my favorite Republicans. But it's like, if I were to say, I'm going to hold Republicans' feet to the fire, like, oh my God, Anomaly's a witch. Let's burn him at the stake. He's got a fireplace for, Ted Cruz. Like, it's anti-Semitic. You're like, what? You're like, no, I'm holding feet to the fire. Like, this is an old saying that we've said for hundreds of years. Now, I really got to think like that. This is how great I could get, I could get freaking run up on over a joke I made on a freaking social media post. But in general, this is why I metaphorically hold Republicans' feet to the fire, because, when push comes to shove, the CARES Act, Operation Warp Speed, all they do is lose and cave. And then 2 years later, they're always playing catch up, right? Ah, and I don't say this to complain. I'm like, hey, next time you guys get in office, why don't you do something instead of just funding big pharma, locking the country down, and then acting like you never did it? Because that's not really good enough. And I think we're going to win the midterms. So I just want people to realize, don't just cheer and hate the left, because the right, it's like I'm trying to figure out, and I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm trying to figure out who I despise more. And I don't like to hate or despise because it's bad energy, right? You want to love and appreciate. But when it comes to standing up for myself, I'm like, who do I despise more? The person who's like a full-blown brainwashed psychopath that wants everybody to wear masks and injections forever? Do I despise that person more, or do I despise the cowardly person who agrees with me, who does nothing about it, like zero? You know what I'm saying? Does this to their kid, does this to their elders. Like, I don't know who I despise more. The coward who knows what's right and won't do anything, or the dummy who's doing everything wrong and thinks that they're right, or they're telling themselves they're right. I'm not sure. And to give you an example of like right wingers being weak, like, okay, Getter, right? And you got Truth Social coming out. I'm not trying to be mean, just trying to be honest. Okay, Getter has already banned Nick Fuentes. Same thing the left's doing. Getter has already banned John Miller. John Miller's not even banned on Twitter. So you got Getter banning right wingers who work for Blaze TV, or did work for Blaze TV. I don't know if he still does. Banning right wingers more than left wingers are banning them. So you have this new free speech Republican platform that's literally further left and more authoritarian than Twitter was in 2008. Like, Getter is a worse version of Twitter in 2008. Twitter didn't ban any political dissidents back then. Getter's starting out the gate banning right-wing political dissidents and rolling out the red carpet for left-wing blogs that hate the crap out of everybody on that platform and are trying to... How is that a progress? This is typical, metaphor for the GOP. This is who they are. They adopt this crappy authoritarian liberal stance from 15 years ago and push it forward as if it's some great revolution. Gab is doing it right. I like Trump, but not really anymore. I don't think he's going to do Truth Social, right? People are like, we're going to go to Truth Social. I guarantee you they're probably going to have similar speech laws to Getter and do more than Twitter. So free speech means free speech, It's like, we're a Republican. Then why didn't you do anything in 2020? You did the CARES Act. That screwed us over. You did Operation Warp Speed. That screwed us over. You're rolling out all the stimulus bills like AOC on cocaine, and then now it's 2 years later and you're like, oh, let me start selling this. Let me stop selling the vaccine now. And I'm against mandates. Yeah, truckers protest. Like, you're 2 years late. You're 2 years late. So I'm glad they're here. And I'm not trying to poo-poo people that have, come, because we all wake up at different times to different things. That's a part of all of our story. Unless you came out the womb knowing everything, someone popped out the womb. You're like, anomaly, I have to disagree with you. I knew everything from birth. I liked Ron Paul. I was anti-Federal Reserve, the popping out the womb. I had a Bitcoin in my mouth instead of a lollipop. No, I'm just kidding. But, that to me is like a full-scale solution. It's like, build our own infrastructure. I think there's already alternates to GoFundMe people are using. Build our own social media, something that's actually pro-free speech, not a crappier version of Twitter 2008 that has American flags on it. That's not good enough. That's not progress. That's like conning Republicans into a place that's literally less free than a Democrat place 10 years ago. That's not, they're making a lot of money off our demise. So it's like a two-pronged thing. It's like, don't use some of these platforms, or at least figure out other ways to challenge them. And then also, next time our people get in power, it's like, I'm tired of living in this double standard world. I don't care, really. I need a little competition. I need a little, sometimes I need to have a chip on my shoulder in order to really, execute. But in general, it's like the GoFundMe stuff, the closing down, the left wing's closing down on us, and the right wing's like closing down on some of us. They're like, oh yeah, Nick Fuentes, like, I think the government took like $500,000 from him or something. It's like, oh, so Getter's going to ban him. It's like, so they're treating him like they treated Trump, and you're going to ban him with an American, like, how is that? I'm trying to like figure out how we're going to get out of this if we keep running to places that are literally like not it. So that's just me thinking out loud. I'm not trying to be a downer or anything. And I challenge people, and everyone gets mad at me. They're like, dude, just shut up. I'm like, all right, whatever. But GoFundMe, I would never use again. I got to really think about Patreon too. I like it so far, but it's like, I don't know, like, I should probably just find a organization that's not going to censor me. I don't know. where are the right wing or at least like pro free speech like fundraisers? It's certainly not GoFundMe. Let me know in the comments if you know any. Someone said GoFundMe released funds last night. Well, they released $1 million, and I guess at some point, but they're gonna kick out 9 million of it and give it to other people if you don't go claim your money back. I don't know how that's illegal. That's legal. Imagine if you just raised $10 million and you're like, I'm gonna give it to those people, and then you're like, actually, let's just give it to someone else. It's like, let's not do that and say that we did. Someone said Western Union. I'm gonna start a Western Union. Damn. I feel like this is, and once again, I'm not trying to get on my high horse and blame people because right now, GoFundMe liberals, but I'm just thinking to myself, it's like I'm so tired of Republicans I follow just being like, the Chinese are so bad. It's like our country sucks right now. I love America, but America sucks right now. Stop crying. Like, this is what the neocons and the Zionist Republicans do. And I'm not saying that everybody who thinks that way is bad, but I'm just saying they're like, oh, we're going to fight China with George Soros. Like, what? Like, yeah, China's, no offense, but yeah, I don't want to live in China. Okay. It's communist, it's authoritarian. They're like Chinese nationalist communist. It's not my vibe. Look at me. Do I look like a Chinese nationalist communist? No. I like America, but our country kind of sucks right now. So I'm tired of like Republicans like, oh yeah, China, let's boycott China. Let's boycott the American Olympics. If America hosts the Olympics, let's boycott that. This country sucks, Let's boycott the Super Bowl. Oh, let's have a Super Bowl in Los Angeles. I hope the Rams win because my uncles like the Rams, and I root for the Rams because of my uncles. But in general, it's like we can't do stuff in LA. I don't live in LA, so I don't care. But in general, people are asked for a vaccine passport to go anywhere, and they're just bringing in tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people to go watch this Rams game in a city that apparently is under this crazy emergency. It's like I'm just tired of Republicans like, oh, this is the Chinese. No, it's your own freaking country. It's our own big tech. It's our own media. It's our own Republican Party. It's the dual party system. It's big pharma, which apparently lobbied Donald Trump and Joe Biden to the point where they ran around selling booster shots until it was convenient to, get on the backs of the trucker protests. So I'm not saying China is great, but I'm tired of Americans. Like, how are we ever going to be America first? America first, but let's just blame China because I watched Steve Bannon's War Room or something. It's like, I like Steve Bannon. I'm not saying I don't like him, but this whole vibe, I'm like, America first. America first means focus on our country. We're never going to get a better. I don't care at this point what China does. I'm sorry. They're authoritarian and they like limit the amount of video games kids can play. That's better than what America's doing. I'm not making excuses for them, but it's like they're doing like they're more moral than we are now. And I don't say that with any sort of pride, but it's like our version of democracy, we're not free. They say you can't question our elections or they kick you off social media, but the Democrats and the Republicans question the election. So nobody really buys it that much anymore. You can't say anything. I can't disagree with Pfizer, Moderna. I don't live in a Christian country. I live in a country that worships big pharma. And if I ever say anything unfavorable to Pfizer, Moderna, or Johnson & Johnson, they'll try to literally take away all my money. This is not a good country anymore. It's not a free country. This country sucks. I'm grateful. I'm appreciative, but I want the Republican Party to focus on America. Stop passing speech laws for Israel and blaming China. Look at our own country, Once again, not trying to get on my high horse, but this is what bothers me even about the whole pandemic. Like, you had liberals running around blaming Donald Trump. You had Donald Trump running around blaming China. What about Anthony Fauci? Did he have a part in it? Did the American government, they talk about gain of function. I guess you can't talk about that anymore, can you? I don't know. Did the fact checkers figure out their mind? But it's like, I'm more concerned with America's involvement in the Wuhan lab than I am with China. I don't trust China. I don't believe China. But I would like to believe that our government has our back. And I think it's creepier knowing that our own government and our own agencies don't have our back. That's creepier than thinking that China's plotting against us. Duh. But Trump will never throw Fauci under the bus very often, maybe once or twice, but he's like, China, China, China. People run around, China, China. Your own government is involved in this stuff, And I'm not trying to start a theory, but just watch Event 201. When it comes to the response to the pandemic was evil. China didn't make us do all that stuff. Our own government did it. Trump did it. Biden's doing it. Democrats did it. Republicans did it. DeSantis figured it out after 2 months. Governor Kemp figured it out. Kristi Noem figured it out. But the rest of these bozos just shut down print trillions. That wasn't China. That was your own damn government. So I'm not making excuses for them. But like Republicans, this whole thing is like, let's have no accountability for anything we did and just blame the other country. They don't like you over in China, not the people. The people love you. The government doesn't care for you. They're looking to expand their ideology in the world. They're not really interested in what's better for you. But it's like the wolf and the fox. It's like, I'd rather, I don't like them, but I don't expect the government of China to like me. I'm just annoyed that the left wing blames Donald Trump. Trump blames China. And he doesn't even look at, his own people that he worked with for 7 months to roll out this $1 trillion scam that he put everybody under. So, that's why I don't tune into like Republican media like that, because they're a bunch of bozos that just run people in circles for 5 months. And then I say something that's like basic common sense that no one can understand it because they've only been listening to the same three like talking heads. But that's just my unpopular thoughts like always. God bless Canada. God bless America. God bless North America. If you donated to the truckers, make sure you get your money back, because they absolutely will try to give it somewhere else. And although we are very charitable people, I don't think anybody donated money to the truckers so it could go to a charity. It's unbelievable that they're doing that, but it's also very believable. Let's read some comments and then I'm going to roll out. Someone said government has become a mafia. Yeah, I've been trying to explain to people like, I'm not trying to sound like a broken record, but they're printing trillions of dollars. Like in Canada, it's unbelievable. People don't realize how corrupt the government is. The CBC's government funded news, like they're swallowing up everything and just brainwashing people. And same thing in America. It's like you got everybody fighting. Well, I hate George. Well, I'm not hate George Floyd, but I love George Floyd. I think the cop did this. I think the cop did this. I'm black. I'm white. Black Lives Matter, transgender right. Everybody's got millions of things they're fighting for, and nobody's standing still being like, the Democrats and the Republicans are scamming you. They're printing trillions of dollars. Dude, could you imagine if I was the CEO of a company just wasting $20 trillion and everybody's just fighting each other? It's like you got a construction worker fighting, some Black Lives Matter activists. And like, that's like the metaphor that I see is like everyone's fighting. The government is literally wasting tens of trillions of dollars. You got BLM is like, oh, we need equality and freedom from the man. Like, are you going to blame Trump supporters forever? Or are you going to look up at the people who are really running the country? Like the people that you're paying your tax dollars to that are just wasting it with impunity in your neighborhoods. How about focus on that? But BLM doesn't focus on that because the founders of it support big government ideology and an ideology that eliminates private property, a singular banking system, which we already have, a singular communication system. The Communist Manifesto is riddled with big government owns everything, you own nothing, and that's going to work in your favor. No, it's not, dummies. But nobody gets to the top of the thing. It's like this is the whole business model of the government. They just take money and waste money and use the media to make everybody fight with each other. It's really almost that simple. It's easy to make people to fight in America too, because we have so many things to divide us. If you go to a country like Japan, they're all Japanese, so they don't fight over race very much because they don't even accept refugees. They freak out when 100 refugees come, like South Korea. They're like protesting, like, no refugees. But in general, like you have race. So now you got a bunch of different cultures in America. It's a beautiful thing, but they use it against us. They weaponize it against us. So now we got everybody fighting over race. Now we have everybody fighting over sexuality. Now we're fighting over religion, because all these things that we could have in common or we could come together, they're weaponizing them against us. And America's like the easiest country to divide because we're a melting pot of so many different things. And a lot of other countries don't have that type of dynamic. It could be the greatest thing in the world, or it could be the worst. It's a pro and a con that they constantly weaponize against us and make us hate each other. And that's their whole scheme. If these people just keep hating each other and blaming each other for everything, we're going to keep getting the money every year because we're taking it from them. So if you're black and you own a business, the government's taking your money. If you're Asian and you own a business, the government's taking your money. Oh, you're you're a BLM activist and you finally made six figures. Well, I hope you got a couple grand left in the bank because they're taking it. You bought a house finally, you got some property. Well, you better have a couple $1,000s because you're going to be paid taxes for the rest of your life that you own that house. And hopefully you don't like the Communist Manifesto too much, because if you own a house like one of the co-founders, in the Communist Manifesto, you don't own private property. There is no such thing as private property. So now you're trusting big government that you don't trust to redistribute all the funds and make it easy for the labor. It doesn't make any sense. I read the Communist Manifesto with an open mind, thinking maybe this is going to be great. I'm not this biased person. I'm not afraid to read something. Maybe it's really good. Maybe it's a utopian system that just never works because people don't do it right. I read the book and I'm like, this is the biggest scam. Karl Marx, biggest scam artist. Oh, let's get the government, the banking, the transportation, communication. We'll take everything, no property. And yeah, workers or something. Christians suck. Like that's like the vibe of the book. I'm like, this book sucks. Communist Manifesto sucks. I'm like, anybody that reads that over the age of like 17 and thinks like, oh, this is going to work out good for me, you are very naive, very foolish. So it's like, if everybody could just stop for a second and put their differences aside and realize the government's taking all of our money every year and just literally doing like that. That's why you see people like Gavin Newsom without a mask. Oh no, I just did it for the picture. Oh, it's like, dude, last year he got caught. I had dinner inside. He's having dinner with lobbyists, guys. You can't go see your grandma. It's against the law. And he's meeting with literally lobbyists who are paying him money to change policy. And you vote for the guy? We are such a stupid state in California. I love this state. How stupid could you possibly be? Larry Elder's not perfect, but he was damn better than Gavin Newsom. And you guys voted for the guy who literally told you couldn't see your grandma for dinner, but then went and had dinner with lobbyists. And this was left wing, right wing. Everybody knew this. This was mainstream news. Nobody cares because it's not trendy. You need a TikTok dance or a police video that everybody freaks out about for 3 months and feels important. Get out in the streets and go do something. Feel like Malcolm X, and then go home, play video games. It's over. Don't think anymore. It's like, it's all fake. It's all fake. NBA, NFL, all this activism is fake. The real activism is the anti-mandate protest. That's why Kyrie Irving's getting so much slack, because he's on the right side of this issue. Aaron Rodgers, right side of this issue. Jokovic, right side of this issue. Shaq, after flip-flopping and making fun of Kyrie Irving, he's on the right side of this issue. Truckers, right side of this issue. This is the main protest. This is freedom or slavery. And I will never apologize for what I just said, because the word slavery and enslavement has a real dictionary definition. It doesn't just mean one event from the past. The word enslave is to lose your freedom of choice or action. And we are losing our freedom of choice and action right now. So this is freedom or slavery right now. That's why no big media supports it, because big media is also working with big government and big pharma. Big pharma, big media, big government, I'm trying to think, there's another big one, big tech. They're all working together to push a narrative over reality. I hope people figure out, and this includes left-wingers, obviously, I would say the most gone people, but also right-wingers who, are being tricked, I believe, into narratives by Donald Trump that don't really make sense. And I'm not blaming him for everything, but it's like either you're this or you're this. Well, you're this, well, you think this. If you're this, you think this. If you don't think that, you're this. And it's like, that's not what's going on. What's going on is what I just said. The Democrats and the Republicans are wasting trillions of dollars every year, and they did it under Obama, and they did it under Bush, and they did it under Trump. Trump wasted more money than anybody in 2020, but there's a pandemic. Oh, yeah, and then there's a war, and then there's the Patriot. There's always something. Isn't that interesting? Well, Bush was a good president. It was just the war. Obama was a good president. He just had to do that, and Trump just had to do. There's always going to be something. That's how they do it. You think they could just print trillions of dollars and people... No, well, there's an emergency. Of course there is. Isn't that perfect? Isn't that just amazing? So, everybody's wasting our money, and they're never going to stop because nobody notices they're doing it. That's why I look like I have 17 heads to people when I talk about Trump and the CARES Act, and I say Trump was more of a socialist and a communist than he was a libertarian, and people look at me like I got 15 heads. What? What are you talking, dude? The CARES Act, read the CARES Act. I dare you to go through the CARES Act. It's a multi-trillion-dollar bill that includes universal basic income, which is an Andrew Yang, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and Bernie Sanders policy that Donald Trump signed into power, which also included incentivization for hospital COVID cases, mass testing, all of this scheme that you're under right now. It was greenlighted by the CARES Act, the socialist communist bill that Donald Trump signed himself. And then he used socialism to give $18 billion to Big Pharma. Was that free market innovation? They funded themselves? No, he funded AstraZeneca. He funded Johnson & Johnson. He funded Moderna. He didn't fund Pfizer, but he did then buy the Pfizer. So he's using government funds to buy the products for free, but they're not free because they're making all this money. He's not a libertarian. He's a socialist and a communist. It's just Biden is like a full-blown authoritarian psycho, so he makes Trump look like George Washington. But nobody wants to hear that. So it's like this, how, we can make fun of the left, but we're becoming the left. Getter censors more than Twitter did 10 years ago. This is not a free speech platform. This is an opportunist GOP platform to wave an American flag, take your money, get some power, and then they're starting worse off than Twitter did. Twitter never banned political dissidents till a couple years ago. They've started out the gate banning multiple right-wing political dissidents that I promise you are way smarter than some of the people that they're keeping on that platform. It's not like they're so dangerous. It's like these moron GOP stooges just want to suck up as much money as possible and don't want to deal with the consequences of free speech. You know who I respect a lot? The CEO of Gab. Okay, for a while I stayed off Gab because I'm like, I don't know about it. That guy is the real deal. Okay, I'm not going to speak on everything, but real deal Andrew Torba, that guy gets it. His terms of service is the First Amendment. He's like, if it's protected by the First Amendment, you could do it on Gab. You can't do violence. You can't threaten people. Not everything is protected under free speech, but free speech and free expression means what it means. Any bad political opinion, racial, social opinion, it's allowed on Gab. He doesn't kick people off. You had Jason Getter saying that he kicked off Nick Fuentes, John Miller, by the way, a black Republican, for saying the N-word. Like, you could do that on Twitter, but you can't do it on Getter. And then he admitted that he'd kick off Black Lives Matter activists on Getter for being racist. It's like, bro, you got Getter censoring more than Twitter, censoring right-wingers and left. You don't need to censor racist left-wingers and right-wingers. You need to let their ideas flourish and let's debate them. If a left-winger says something stupid, I don't want to cut the tongue out of his mouth. I just want to say, I believe what you're saying is wrong and evil, and here's why I'm correct. I get along actually with black activists better than I get along with these GOP stooges, because at least they say what they really think. I've had conversations with people that are in a Nation of Islam. Am I Islamic? No, I'm Christian. Do they agree with everything right wing? Absolutely not. But I respect them more than I respect Jason Miller because they're willing to tell me exactly how they feel, no matter how hateful some people perceive it as. And then I'm able to, with my First Amendment, respond to what I think about it. And it's actually a really beautiful thing. And it breaks down the echo chamber. And when I have a conversation with a black, power activist, I get to hear his perspective. He gets to hear mine. He says something I don't agree with. I push back. And usually there is no pushback. It's like fake mainstream media pushback. So they're defensive like we're defensive because they're always being lied about like we're being lied about. And that's how you win. That's how my ideas get challenged. It's like, what? I never thought it that way. I didn't grow up black. I didn't deal with that. And then I'm like, but here's what I'm feeling. And here's what my family went through. Oh, I never really thought about that because I'm so busy, defending myself that I didn't even realize you had it like that. So that's what's going on. We don't need more right-wing platforms censoring. Gab is the only one. I have 60,000 followers on there. I'm going to try to use Gab more than any other one. As far as Getter, I'm off it. Why would I go on something that censors more than Twitter? It doesn't make any sense. But, that type of ideology that Andrew Torba has, that has to be status quo in the Republican Party. Or else we're just running in circles and waving, American flags, which are now turning into rainbow flags. So you got Republicans waving rainbow flags. They're like, yeah, LGBT, whatever. I don't know. I'm not being mean, but it is pretty funny. You see like Trump with the rainbow flag. He's like, yeah, rainbow flag, whatever. He's like, just vote for me. I don't care if you're gay. It's like, do what you got to do, bro. But in America, it's a hate crime to burn an LGBT flag, but it's not a hate crime to burn an American flag. So this is where these hate crimes and this hate laws are going. It's not that I want you to commit a crime against anybody. That's not true at all. But it's easier to burn an American flag than it is to burn an LGBT flag. What does that mean? It means we're a gay country. We are LGBT America. We're not the United States of America. We're the United States of LGBTs. The LGBT flag is more sacred than the American flag. Our country's been conquered, and I'm not trying to be dramatic. It's just true. If I can question God in this Christian country and I can question authority, but I can't question Pfizer, I can question my own identity. I could say I'm a proud Black tranny, and people will be like, dude, that's dope. And I'm like, my pronouns are he, her, him, golden boy. Call me golden boy. Oh, that's woke. I'm a leopard. Yeah, sure. I could say whatever I want, but if I question Big Pharma, the whole world comes down against me. This is a gay pharma country, and I'm not trying to be mean to gay people. I'm just saying this country is super gay, more than it's super American. You burn an American flag, freedom of speech. You burn an LGBT flag, hate crime. I literally just make up things. Hey guys, I'm 10 million feet tall. Hey, I'm 10 million feet tall. This isn't water. This is lava. Oh, it's burning me. Am I going to get fact checked for that? Of course not. They don't give a shit. I could sit here and lie my ass off. This is Jim Bob's book that I bought, made by Jim Bob. No, this is Shel Silverstein, Harry Potter's edition. It's like Shel Silverstein didn't write Harry Potter. They don't care. I'm a 15-foot werewolf who transgenders on only Wednesdays, and I identify as peacock. I'm a peacock. Okay, this is a kid show. I'm just saying. No, I'm just kidding. But like, I can say anything I want. It doesn't have to be true. It doesn't have to be right. It doesn't have to be moral. But if I ever just say, hey, I think these new big pharma products suck, I could have my whole life ruined. So what does that say about this country? Are we an American freedom country? No, we are a completely conquered big pharma LGBT country that you don't have the right to be right, honest, transparent, question big pharma, question. It sucks. It's like, it's funny though, at least it makes a good joke. I don't want to hear about China. Oh my God, China's doing this to Uyghurs. Your kids are going to be that in 10 years. It's like, you read what they're doing to Uyghurs, and I'm like, that sounds like school. They're reprogramming them to think this way and this way and this way. I'm like, that's what's happening to your kids when you send them to elementary school. Like, literally, read like a basic mainstream thing, and like they're telling the women to do this and telling the men to do this. They're telling the women not to have children. I'm like, it sounds like a left winger in America. It sounds like exactly what's happening here. Am I comparing our plights and saying they're exactly the same? Well, nothing's exactly the same, but literally, like, ideologically, what they're doing to those people in China are what everyone's doing here. The difference is over there doesn't make it right, but it's the minority people that they're abusing. That's not good. I'm not saying that that's ever acceptable. I'm just saying here, they're doing it to everybody. You know what I'm saying? They're not doing it to a small percentage of Muslims. They're doing it to every Muslim in America, every Christian in America, every Jew and atheist in America. Like, they're doing it to everyone here. So I mean, at what point do Republicans wake up and like, the Uyghurs? It's like, your kids are going to be the Uyghurs. Maybe not Trump's kids, because Barron Trump can probably get to, frolic through the flowers at his little private school. But, your kids, they're going to end up like that. No, I don't know how to say the word Uyghur. I don't know. Ask Enes Kanter. Enes Freedom Kanter, the freedom fighter. He's a basketball player. He changed his name to Freedom. He's like, I'm standing up for freedom. I will talk about the Uyghur China camps. And then you ask Enes Kanter Freedom, hey, what do you think about vaccines? And he's like, oh, the unvaccinated people are sweating on me and spitting on me. They shouldn't be allowed to. It's like, oh, you're really a freedom fighter. Yeah, go fight. It's like, you should go live in China, Enes Kanter. You want to be a real activist? Don't sit in America and talk about China. Go to China, bro. And this isn't racist. He's not even Chinese. He's like Turkish, Go to China, Enes. Go be a freedom fighter in China. Go save the Uyghurs, okay? Because you're not helping America by telling, oh, there's unvaccinated people sweating on me. Ugh. Change your name to Loser. Enes Kanter, Loser. You're not a freedom fighter, bro. You're just another, like, goofy talking piece for CNN and Fox News to be like, what does George Soros and Steve Bannon agree with? The Uyghurs, China. It's like, cool. Yeah, I never heard that one before. Unbelievable. Someone said, I'm loving these rips. It's just so true, though. Everyone's like, dude, I saw this Cantor on Fox News. He's really sticking it to those Chinamen. It's like, what? Did you hear his vaccine stance? He thinks that people with unvaccinated shouldn't sweat on him. Like, it's let's calm down. All right, I'm gonna read. Someone said, "Sit on YouTube and whine." I know I have the best. I have the best job in the world, don't I, Doc? I just get to sit on YouTube and whine, sitting on the dock of YouTube, whining away. I got the best job, Doc. Thank you so much for your support. Every view matters. That's like 2 cents in ad revenue. Thank you, Doc. You're throwing pennies at me like a stripper. I appreciate you, Doc. Someone says, what do you think about Owen Benjamin's view on the Canada protest? He thinks it's another January 6th. I don't want to speak on his view because I haven't heard his full explanation, but I think he always has an interesting breakdown, and he always has like a unique angle that's worth hearing, because he's a smart guy. So I don't want to speak on it, but I do agree that regardless of what Owen said, because I don't want to like say what he said because I haven't heard what he said, but I think there's value there where it's like, I mean, January 6th smelled funny to me from the beginning. I'm not trying to just like say it in hindsight. There's a reason I didn't go. I mean, there's 7 reasons I didn't go, but like something seemed off, and like that's maybe Owen's intuition with this. That was my intuition with January 6th. It didn't make sense. It still doesn't make sense to me. And people get mad. I don't like Mike Pence for different reasons. I don't like Mike Pence because of the coronavirus task force. I think the real betrayal of America was Mike Pence in 2020. He was working with Fauci to roll out all this stuff. Nobody cares about that. This whole thing has been a giant distraction from the medical tyranny. And I said that since April. So everybody's mad at Mike Pence for the wrong reasons. You should be mad at Mike Pence because he betrayed you and failed you in 2020 with the lockdowns and Operation Warp Speed and being the facilitator of the coronavirus task force, not the Hail Mary that Donald Trump threw to him saying he's going to decertify. To me, that was a trap. It's still unpopular. I think that was a trap to set up Kamala to do what Mike Pence didn't do. Now Kamala's going to do it because you said that they could do it. I think that whole narrative's a trap. I think every Trump supporter is wrong about that. And I'm in a fringe minority of people on the right wing that think that whole narrative around Pence and electorates is really dumb and it's going to screw them over. Same with January 6th. So with the truckers, I mean, I think there are good people there and the idea is good, but this is the problem with any sort of event now. They're trying to set people up like January 6th. So if you're just aimlessly, doing something, that's what I was saying about the truckers the other day. You got to be wise with what you're doing because they're not aimless. They are trying to figure out ways to squash this. So you don't want to be aimless. I haven't heard Owen's take. I'd like to hear it. So I can't really speak on it, but I think there's definitely some truth there in the sense of like, they are going to try to make everything look like that goes against the regime of what they're doing. I mean, look at the Gretchen Whitmer situation. They're like, these crazy right-wingers are anti-lockdown trying to kidnap her. Most of the people ended up being feds at that thing, including the people who hatched the plan. So clearly there's people that are plotting and setting up things to make other people look bad. I don't know that the trucker is which way, but there's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with asking questions and being skeptical because whether it started that way or not, there's going to be people that like Justin Trudeau's not looking to talk to them. He's like, let me figure out a way to make them look bad so I could take it down. So we'll see. Someone said, I'll talk about this real quick. Someone said Pence had the right to delay the certification and allow an investigation. Here's the thing though, Blue Sky, the people, and this is where you don't have to listen to me, but if you really look at this stuff, you're being used by people who were too cowardly to do what they said they were going to do in the past. So Pennsylvania, et cetera, these people, these electorates, right? If they really wanted to decertify or hold out, they could have made a move. They sent in their stuff to Mike Pence, and then everybody in MAGA got mad at them. So then they said, oh, now we realize something changed. Send them back, Mike Pence. It's like, have you ever heard of the game Hot Potato? It's like Hot Potato. You didn't do it. You didn't do it. You pass it, you pass it, you pass it, and then you throw it to Mike Pence. Is Mike Pence a great person, a great politician? I don't trust him as a politician. But this idea that that was like what you wanted, it was a Hail Mary hot potato thing that everybody fell for. I'm telling you, it's a setup to get Kamala Harris to do that. Pence didn't do it. He was never going to do it. It didn't really make that much sense. Everybody said it. Why? Because you're emotional. You want Donald Trump to win. Well, I want Donald Trump to win. I'll believe anything. Okay, then go to January 6th and hang out with QAnon people. And I'm not trying to act like the media and smear everybody there. I'm just saying, yeah, there's going to be someone who tells you what you want to hear. There's 20 pages of like literal psyop liars who tell people, oh, the military's closing in on the Vatican any day, folks. Just listen to my channel and buy gold, and I'll tell you what you want to hear. So, it's like there's a difference between what you want to happen and what happens. I wanted Trump to win. I thought he could. Once it came to January 3rd and there is no, big court case, I knew that it was over. I'm not saying it was right or fair, but this Hail Mary to Mike Pence to decertify the results or to allow an investigation. What investigation, bro? It's been 2 years. You got Mike Lindell doing 4-day symposiums. It's all out there. There's still not, it's not like this like open shut amazing thing that they've provided us with. So you could believe that if you want, but it's like, let's say something to our supporters so everyone repeats it, and then let's not do it and allow Kamala Harris to do it. You know who has the balls to do what they pretended like you were going to do? The Democrats. So now, why wouldn't they do that to you? You guys walked into 15 traps. You guys got set up at January 6th. You're following the vaccine salesman telling you Mike Pence is going to overturn an election. Now you're setting yourself up not only to get arrested at an event. Now you can't protest. Now everybody's getting in trouble. You screwed us all over. Now, you just opened the gateway for Kamala Harris to literally do that. So, you're still talking about freaking Mike Pence. Who's the vice president now? Kamala Harris, who has every right to try to do that this next election, because all of these I'm not trying to be mean, but everybody in the Trump, Grandpa Moderna, the vaccine salesman, brainwashed everybody. Who's in power now? Kamala Harris. What's going to stop her from doing what you thought Mike Pence was going to do? They've literally rolled out the red carpet to screw you over again. Don't have to believe me. I don't care. I don't care if it's 95 to 5% and nobody wants to hear it. You hear what you want to hear. You want Trump to win, you'll believe anybody who tells you anything that I don't care. Someone said, are people still trusting the plan? It's not even, it has nothing to do with even Q. It's just Donald Trump told people this. Donald Trump accepted no accountability for 2020, the lockdowns, the mass mail-in ballots, Operation Warp Speed, the CARES Act. He has zero humility whatsoever. So what does he do? He blames the guy next to him. I don't even like Mike Pence. Mike Pence, everybody should be upset as they are at Mike Pence right now. Why not be upset at Mike Pence for the 2020 coronavirus task force? He was in charge of a lot of that stuff. No one talks about it. Grandpa Moderna is the greatest deceiver. He runs people in circles, gets them set up, sets them up to get screwed over by Kamala, runs them in a constant circle. So you never focus on what actually happened. You had bipartisan betrayal in 2020. Democrats accept no accountability. Trump accepts no accountability. And there's zero conversation around Mike Pence. Everybody's talking about something that they wish he could do that would have done absolutely nothing, that has now opened the door for Kamala Harris to do it. It's the biggest, most obvious trap ever, but it's not popular because in MAGA, you get bonus points if you just yell Mike Pence. Oh, Mike Pence is a traitor. Yeah. That's what it is. It's very unpopular to say what I'm saying. This is not something that gets you a lot of praise. In fact, it gets you a lot of scrutiny and people upset at you. I just don't care. There's a reason I'm not a follower. If I was a follower, I would have been to the Capitol. But I told people 50 times, I'm not going to an event to run circles around a vaccine salesman. I don't trust Donald Trump. He's Moderna. I thought he would have better leadership after the election. It just got worse. He started sounding like a pull string doll. He caved to Big Pharma. I'm not flying halfway across the country to walk and listen to a vaccine salesman talk. Well, you're not a real patriot, Anomaly, blah, blah. Yeah, I heard, when I heard that, everybody on Twitter 2 months before the Capitol event. So I don't care how unpopular it is, not going to that event and not being a part of it and not, believing him was very unpopular at the time. How many patriot influencers weren't at that event? Like none, So I don't care if it's popular, because just because it's unpopular doesn't mean it's wrong, and time will tell. I hope Kamala doesn't do that. They're already writing Atlantic articles about it. So you already know they're going to try, or they're going to, float that idea, but you got to think ahead. But people can think what they want. I think Mike Pence betrayed America in 2020. I think Donald Trump betrayed America in 2020. And I think they're doing everything they can to blame other people so they never take accountability, just like Biden does. That's all government is. No accountability. It's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. And they're both stealing and they're both lying and they're both passing this stuff and they're both passing bills. But it's him, but it's him, but it's him, but it's China, but it's Pence, but it's him. No, the worst thing Pence did was in 2020 orchestrating all of this coronavirus authoritarian takeover. That's what Pence did. Who talks about it? No one. Why? Because Trump, Grandpa Moderna, the vaccine salesman, brainwashed everybody into talking about something that not only doesn't make as much sense as everybody thinks it does, but it's actually paving the way for Kamala Harris to literally steal the next one. Use your brains, folks. But Radio Free America said, Anomaly, I'm 23. I've been writing political hip hop since I was 15. I have over 50 finished songs and endless songs that are open to have someone feature on it. Do you think we could FaceTime and talk about collaborating? Thank you. Can we FaceTime? Probably not FaceTime, my man. But if you go to if you find my contact email and you take the time to find my contact email, I have it on most of my websites. And you send me an email, I'll have my guy look at it because I'm working with a friend now who's going to help me answer emails, etc. So if you send me some of your songs, I'll check them out. Will I FaceTime you? Probably not, but yeah, send me an email. I'll try to listen to it. Chaos Coach Kelly said, YouTube doesn't allow me to include the link for this site, but there's a free Christian fundraising platform called WonderWe, and they appear to stand for freedom. Love my dream rare hoodie. Thank you so much, Chaos Coach Kelly, and I appreciate it. Jack Pasabic tweeted something too. I don't know. I haven't really looked up the website, but he said that there was some sort of Christian. Maybe it was that one. Let me look real quick because he said, let me see. Where is the other one? Oh, he said Give, Send, Go. So he promoted GiveSendGo.com. It says a #1 free Christian crowdfunding platform. So that's a different alternative that could possibly work. Thank you, Modern Alley. I appreciate it. Someone said, I have a question. How long did it take you to get comfortable with this Truman Show-like experience? Well, I said that in my last song, right? I mean, I just try to make the most of life. I don't know that I'm always all the time comfortable. Life can be uncomfortable, but sometimes, you need to be uncomfortable to do some stuff. So I think, I try to be happy and productive, but you know, I kind of revel in the pain sometimes. Like, I think I've always been underrated, underappreciated. Maybe it's in my own head. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But in sports and stuff, maybe I have an inflated sense of how good I was at sports. But I really do feel like I was always kind of slept on and I always had a chip on my shoulder. I actually just got an email from somebody at my school, somebody I lived with and I worked with, and it was somebody that never really believed in me. And I knew he didn't. And I know he always favored other people over me. Long story short, the guy emails me and he says, Anomaly, I can't believe you're as big as you are now. I never thought you were going to be. And, it was nice to hear that because I felt that way my whole life. I felt like everybody was always sleeping on me. So I kind of thrive with the chip on my shoulder. So I don't, life is not comfortable. I'm not always comfortable. But sometimes I'm glad that everything didn't happen perfectly because it makes me that much more appreciative of it. And it makes me work harder. When things are too easy, that's when it gets, that's when you get lazy. So I'm not always comfortable. I'm not always thrilled all the time. There's things that annoy me. But I try to have fun. Someone said I could strike you out. Probably. I'm not that great at baseball. That was my least favorite sport because they kept hitting me with the baseball. I wanted to fight. I was like, I don't like that the pitcher could just hit you and then you just gotta like take it. Like I'm like, why is this guy throwing things at me? I didn't understand that. At least basketball, you could like catch it. Baseball, I'm like, they're throwing things at me. I got hit like 3 times in practice. I'm like, this sport sucks. I like baseball. Don't get me wrong. I was tired of getting hit with the ball. I like soccer, basketball. I like where you can like hit back or at least like defend yourself. Like you get what I'm saying? Like baseball, you're just like there and there's somebody throwing things at you. And I was good. I was pretty good, but it was like I'm getting hit. I'm like, in soccer, if someone hits you, you can hit them back. In basketball, you can play defense, offense. Like there is no dynamic where someone just gets to like bean you with a thing. I didn't like that. But I don't know. It's not for everyone. What's my favorite sport? I could beat you at basketball. I like soccer. Probably is my favorite sport to play. Soccer, basketball is up there. Someone said, so the country was amazing under Trump, yet he's a snake. Okay. Was 2020 amazing for you? Are you like so delusional that you think that like every 4 years is amazing? 2020 was like the collapse of America on his watch. I would still vote for him over Biden. He definitely does a better job of managing economy, et cetera. But it's like you've brainwashed yourself under your obsession for Trump. You're like, it was amazing until Biden. It's like this is a false sense of history. I say things sometimes and people act like it never happened. They're like, Biden. And it's like, dude, March 2020, the whole world changed. We caved to communism and authoritarianism. We signed the blank check to big pharma and big media, big medicine, and Trump did it, and you don't even realize it happened because you're like obsessed. You'll figure it out. I would still vote for him over Biden though, but this idea that you're like it was it's like everything he accomplished failed because it's like black unemployment's at an all-time low. Well, not anymore. You know, like the whole lockdown Operation Warp Speed kind of blew it, but I don't want to have the same conversation over and over with NPCs. It's like I don't even acknowledge reality if my guy does it. It's like, okay. Okay then. Someone said vaccines for 6 months old. What's up with that? I'm gonna head out in a little bit. I don't want to stay too long, but I want to say America's the big pharma capital of the world. So are we a great country? Yes. Were we once the freest country in the world? Yes, those times are over. We are no longer, this is sad for me to say. 4 years ago, we are the freedom capital of the world. We're not anymore. We're not the freedom capital of the world. We don't lead the world in freedom. We're not even really close anymore. So there's certain things, the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, they're still, GOAT level good things. But I would say 6-month-old injections. Why is that happening here? The World Health Organization saying no booster shots for kids. There's no evidence available, yet the CDC is recommending them for kids. Why would our own government be even more bullish on childhood booster shots than the rest of the world? We're the big pharma capital of the world. Big pharma runs our country. They run Donald Trump. They run Joe Biden. They own Democrats more, but clearly Republicans don't really do much until it's too late, and they pretend like they're going to do something. Same thing Trump did. It's like, oh, Pence. It's like, oh, I'm going to fight the mandates after I funded everything and gave them all the money and power. It's like, yeah. So we have a real uphill battle in America because our country is so compromised by big pharma. It's not even funny. And these people are never going to stop because they don't have liability for their products. So they have this sweetheart deal. If you think about the deal that they have, whether you're vaccinated or not, this is not about your personal vaccination status right now. This is about reality. And I've tried to explain this to people since 2020. And most people listen, a lot of people don't, but they have no liability for side effects, injuries, or deaths, right? So all these things in the VAERS report, it's a government program. You're not even allowed to talk about it. So they've protected themselves from vaccine injuries. They won't let you talk about vaccine injuries. They have no liability for vaccine injuries. Big tech silences people who talk about vaccine injuries. It's like if a tree falls in the woods, did it really happen? If an injury happens, but big tech won't let you talk about it, and nobody in the medical industrial complex will come and help you, and the manufacturer who made the product that hurt you won't take liability, is it even real? That's called gaslighting. So we live in this country. This is why I think it's such a betrayal from Trump that he sold this product for 2 years and didn't talk about any of this. You listen to Marjorie Taylor Greene, she talks about it every time. She got banned for talking about it. You listen to Candace Owens, she talks about it. Like, that's what a leader needs to do right now, because this is the reality we live in. We don't live in 2018 where you're just selling a flu shot. We live in an authoritarian reality where they're using this product to try to lock us down. So there's no reason to sell authoritarianism. Selling the products like selling communism at this point. That's what Trump did. He sold communism, implemented communism, wrote it off, and now says he's with the truckers. It's like, it's nice of you to join us, but when push came to shove, you were on the wrong side of history. So, when it comes to shots in little kids, this is never going to stop because our country is so compromised by big pharma. The media is so compromised. It's going to be one of two things. Either, they're going to screw up so bad that it's going to become unignorable, which might happen. People might just reject booster shots. Like, they're going to go further and further and further and further. And this is like the history of big pharma. How many times have these companies, not Moderna because they're new or they're newer, how many times have these companies got caught doing lying, paying off doctors, paying off foreign countries, asbestos in their baby powder products, their sunscreen taken off the market? These are like not ethical companies at all. They always get in trouble. They always get charged. They always get fined, but they don't care because the fine is usually smaller than the amount of money that they made. So their whole scheme, a lot of times, is based off fraud. And when it comes to vaccines, this is like the biggest scam ever that they have no liability for them. So like Biden was talking about for gun manufacturers, this is what big pharma is. So, I mean, a lot of people can say, well, he didn't mandate it. It's like nothing matters until enough people realize this, PCR testing, forced masking, forced injecting, like this country is probably going to be more bullish on vaccines than any other country. In Japan, they use alternate medications that they call horse dewormer here. In Mexico, they hand out stuff that they're trying to make illegal here. Our country is really messed up, okay? Don't let Donald Trump or Republicans convince you into thinking that we're still this amazing freedom country of the world and China is the only thing that matters. Like, our country kind of sucks right now. And I'm not saying it's bad, but like, if we want to make America great again, we need to get the big bozo vaccine salesmen to stop sucking up our taxpayer money and giving it to Pfizer and Moderna, because that's sure as hell not going to help. You can't greenlight a warp speed product that shields them from liability. That's why he doesn't talk about liability. Why does Marjorie Taylor Greene talk about injuries and liability? Why does Candace Owens? Because they don't have blood on their hands. Donald Trump does. He signed and gave them the liability shield. He knew that the PrEP Act existed. He's not a dummy. He knows about injuries. He doesn't want to tell you because he's a sleazy used car salesman. He's responsible for these being here, and he wants to sell you the crappy car he sold you. So he's like, people are like, anomaly, I feel like you're control. No, this is like textbook definition of control, giving you just enough that you think that it's different, but not actually doing enough to get us out of it. So as far as the childhood, I mean, this is big pharma capital of the world. Big pharma is going to do more here because they seem to have more control over our media. If you go to other countries in Europe, they're apologizing. Literally, you think Europe is so bad because in many cases it is, but you have European media apologizing to certain countries saying, we're sorry for our bad coverage. We're sorry. We blew it. Who has said sorry in America? DeSantis? I like DeSantis because he's the one politician who apologized for his failures in the lockdown. He has an ounce of humility. Trump, Biden, Democrats, Republicans, McConnell, Pelosi, they're never going to apologize for what they did. They're going to gaslight you into thinking it's somebody else. Trump already is running circles around this narrative. Yes, sir, election fraud, Mike Pence. Is this guy going to apologize for what he did in 20? Of course not. He doesn't have to. Point to Biden. Biden will point to Trump. That's the whole scheme. So, this idea, and I'm not trying to be mean because I'm, optimistic, positive, I'm staying in my pocket, etc. But when I said in March and April that this wasn't going to end, I know people, this is the craziest part to me. I know people that I said, this is going to last a long, long time. No, it's not. It's only going to last a few months. It's only going to last a few weeks. Now, 2 years later, I know multiple people that say, oh, you were right. I remember when you told me this was going to last a few years and I didn't believe you. And then I try to tell them what I think now, and they're doing the same thing they did 2 years ago. They're like, well, I'm just going to mask my kid. Well, I'm just going to do this. Well, I'm just going to go along with it. Well, and I'm like, 2 years ago, I said, this is going to last for 2 years. You said, no, it's not. Now it's 2 years later. You're like, oh, yeah, you were right about that, but I think you're wrong now. And it's like, I'm not acting like I can't be wrong and you can't question me, but it's like, I don't live in the world that you live in and your kids live in. I would never wear a mask in school. I would rip it off and say, I'm not a slave. I'm not a lab rat. I'm not an animal. I'm not doing this. It's not happening. You're not treating me this way. Call who you have to call because you're not going to treat me like an abused peasant. And guess what happens? I don't live that way. So the people that are doing it thinking, if I just keep doing this, it's just going to go away. No, it's not. That's the point I've been trying to making. It's going to go away when people realize how sick big pharma is. I told multiple people in my family, and it hurts me to say this because everybody makes their own decisions, but when it comes to other people, I don't give advice because I don't want to be liable for what you do, but I will equip you with the knowledge and information that I didn't know, and I want people to know to make a decision. I told multiple people in my family about how they had no liability for side effects, injuries, and deaths. And I didn't say that to scare them. I just wanted to let them know how big pharma works and how the business model works and how this is all going to work. And 3 people in my family got a vaccine or 2 vaccines, and none of them want to get booster shots. And everyone that I know that got it, except for one, regrets it. And it's like, I don't know why I did that. I'm like, I tried to tell people, and I'm not mad. It's all good. But it's like, how long are people going to follow this stuff? It's going to last. Like, other countries aren't even doing this. Other countries aren't injecting kids and stuff. This is strictly America and other countries, but this is not like everyone in the world is doing that. Our country is completely dominated by big pharma. And that's why I'm so annoyed at the Trump, narrative, because he's running people in circles. So you don't realize that Mike Pence, the big thing that he did wrong was 2020. Donald Trump doesn't want you to realize what he did in 2020 because it's horrible. If there was a real trial for how bad this stuff is, Donald Trump is not innocent. He is absolutely complicit as Fauci, as complicit as everybody. Like, you think he fought Fauci? He worked with Fauci. He did more for Pfizer and Moderna than anyone has ever done. Donald Trump calls himself the father of the vaccine for a reason. When it comes to big pharma corruption, Donald Trump helped them be more corrupt than maybe any president ever. He's horrible. You want him back because he's better than Biden? Sure, I'll vote for him over Biden for my own self-interest, but am I going to be pumped about it and go for a rally? No, this guy's a scum. Whatever, you want to love him, you want to make a fake narrative about how he cares about you, you're going to figure it out because this stuff's not going away. So, long story short, big pharma's really bad. We tried to tell you 5 years ago how bad they were, and 3 years ago how bad they were, and 2 years ago how bad they were, in a year. So when you got a guy half working with them, half pretending to fight them, that's not doing anything. Everybody's following the leader, and the leader is not leading you in the right direction. So you have one party that's lost their mind, 70% of people just too cowardly to do anything, and then the real freedom fighters in this country running around the guy who sold them out in 2020, acting like the person who dug them in this hole is going to, take them out of it. Maybe, but so with the kid thing, I don't know. When's it going to stop? When people say no? When enough people say no? I don't know. They're going to go younger and younger and younger and younger and longer and longer and longer and longer and more and more and more. There's an article that I read quoting somebody from Goldman Sachs. I don't want to mess it up, so I'm just going to reference it loosely. They were explaining how, maybe I should find it. They were explaining how with some of this gene therapy technology a couple years ago, how if they fully cured something, that it wasn't profitable. And it's worth thinking about, because if you fully cure somebody from something, you're really screwing over your profits. So it's almost better to just have like yearly injections. This is a real article. I might as well just find it now. Like this, there is no reason to like a politician that's like, I funded big pharma, I work for big pharma, I took Pfizer money. This is Donald Trump. Took Pfizer money, took big pharma money, took big banker money, funded big pharma, funded mass testing, funded all this stuff. Like, this is no hero. If it's your hero, you're going to be stuck this way forever because you're stuck in a loop. You got Stockholm syndrome. Is he better than Biden? Yeah, my shoe is better than Joe Biden. This water is better than Joe Biden. Like, nothing is not better than Joe Biden. But is that like the prerequisite? Is like, whatever, I'll just go for the other guy who screwed me over. It's like, I need to find the actual thing because it's like pretty crazy. Let's see. Oh my God, there's this stupid pop-up that I can't find. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it, but they're literally like talking about their business model. I'll look another time. So I don't know. I don't know what people want to do, how long it's going to go. I don't know where the pulse is. Like, do people want to give it to their kids? I don't know. I personally think, this is my optimistic angle, is I do personally believe that most people, not most, but a lot of people who got the vaccine, I don't and this has nothing to do with me or my opinion. I don't think that many people want the booster shots. Like if you look, let's look in America, how many people got booster shots? Let's look at the data. So I can be accurate. America vaccine rate. Let's look it up. Okay, so yeah, ready? You ready for this? This is the United States of America as of February 2nd. It says at least one dose of the vaccine. 76% of the population fully vaccinated. 211 million people, 64% of the population. Ready for this? Boosters given 27%. So their booster compliance is only at 27%. Think about how much they have jammed the booster down your throat and told you you're going to die. Only 27% of America has gotten the booster shot. I'm telling you guys, this is our saving grace when it comes to freedom is people don't want the booster shot, under their own free will. They got the vaccine and they don't want the booster. And I'll tell you why if Big Pharma had some humility. And this is how maybe all this is going to end when people stop the cycle, right? So I think, I don't think this is going to last forever. I hope not, because maybe testing will, not for me, but I don't think that many people want the booster. And if anybody's watching this from Facebook or Big Pharma or whoever these idiot fact checkers they have, there's a reason that it's so low. It's not conspiracy theorists. It's not Joe Rogan. It's because you had people like Rachel Maddow, Rochelle Walensky, Dr. Fauci telling people two things were going to happen when they took the vaccine. And you could lie about it all you want, sweep it under the rug. But when people got the first and the second dose, this was the narrative earlier last year. They said, you're not going to get the virus. You're not going to spread the virus. And you could take your mask off, right? Three things were essentially promised / said. Take the mask off. If you get the vaccine, you'll be free. And also, you're not going to catch it or spread it. And guess what happened? People caught it. People spread it. And people got forced masked again. And now the most forced mask place are the places with the most compliance. Places like Los Angeles have vaccine passports and forced masking. Places like, Idaho don't. So Tennessee doesn't. So people are catching on to your bullshit because you promised them three things that didn't happen, and now they feel duped. I know people that are pro-vaccine, pro-flu shot, pro-COVID shot. They feel duped. Everyone won't say it, but they're like, well, I at least thought I was going to be able to take my mask off. I at least thought you were going to leave me alone. And some people say, oh, well, I didn't get as sick as I thought I was. There are people who love the booster shot, right? And that's their prerogative. I don't care what people want to do with their medical life, etc. But the minority that says, I'm so happy with my booster shot, I'll get a fourth one. That's not 100% of people. That's not 50% of people. That's not even 25% of people. They are the fringe minority. The majority of people are against mandates. The majority of people don't want booster shots. And the proof is in the pudding. 27% booster shots in America. In Israel, it's over 60% or 50%. I mean, they got over half the country's got three shots. America isn't doing it that much. So to me, that's the saving grace. That's definitely the positive, I guess, hope is that people are looking and saying, you know what? I'm not going to, if my boss tries to make me do a booster, I'm not going to do it. I already know multiple people like that. So I hope that happens because they're trying to take our, freedom away through that. What do I think about Biden's job report? I mean, I didn't see it, but what he's claiming he created jobs because they destroyed the economy and brought it back. Yeah, it's a lie. But also I think, Republicans set him up for that. Like, I'm tired of falling for the traps. I think Biden's lying, like, oh, I'm the economy's so great. No, it's not. It's just, you stopped enforcing so many restrictions and people went back to work because the money stopped, Once the government money stops, you got to get a job again. So that's kind of what happened. It's not like he did anything. However, am I going to sit, and this is maybe I'm coming off wrong, but this is why I'm different from Republicans a lot of times. They say, oh, don't play the victim, liberal. Don't play the victim, black man. Be like us conservatives. We don't play the victim. And it's like, okay. And then it's like, hey, do you take any accountability for 2020? No, it was China and Fauci and Democrats. It's like, so why do you tell Black America not to play the victim when you guys play the victim all the time with your own doing? So it's like, is Biden's job report legit? No. But is it not our fault? I mean, Republicans caved the entire economy, lost the election, and then made him look good. Like, if you don't want that to happen, don't close the country down. I'm not like Mr. Hindsight. It was so obvious a week into the shutdown. It was obvious the data was available. I was reading it. Trump was lying on television about it. Sweden's going to die, everybody. Sweden's so bad because they didn't lock down. Trump was Mr. Lockdown. Well, he said he was against it. Yeah, he played you like a freaking fiddle. I'm against lockdowns. I'm for lockdowns. And then when push came to shove, he locked the country down again and said, do this. Oh, I'll lead you. It's me and Fauci's coronavirus distancing order. So am I really going to be mad at Biden for lying? No, it's Republicans' fault that they closed and caved the economy and allowed someone like Joe Biden to claim this stuff. So this is the difference. It's like, I don't like Biden. I would never vote for Biden. I'd even vote for Donald Trump, the vaccine salesman, over Biden. However, I don't really respect him as a man, but whatever. Yeah, you're better than Biden. You don't hate me. You don't hate the country as much. So yeah, you could be president. I'll vote for Trump again. But this idea that I'm just going to sit here and be like, oh, Biden, Republicans always set up Democrats to screw us over and then never take accountability. So next time we win House and Senate and presidency, how about you don't end in a lockdown? How about you don't allow mass mail-in ballots through caving to the narrative 50 times? I even blame us for mass mail-in ballots. You cave to this, cave to that, cave to this, cave to that, cave to that. It's going to lead to mass mail-in ballots. And same with mandates. You cave to this, cave to that. It's going to lead to mandates. Mandates were coming. I knew that before Operation Warp Speed. So if the Republicans don't know, they're not good leaders. If I know more than they know, they're not very smart. I have a computer. They have freaking 100 employees. They have billions of dollars that they take from you guys to do nothing with it. So, I just think the job report is a lie, but it's a lie that has been or a false, a false presentation of success set up by the failures of the Republicans. So I would love if the Republican Party, Trump, etc., took accountability for how they blow it all the time. I feel like they're just always like, China did it, Democrats did it, and then Democrats get in and they're like, it was white people and Trump, and then Trump gets in, he's like, it was that, and it's like, it's kind of both of you. Like, Trump's better than Biden. Republicans are better than Democrats, but it's kind of both of you. You're kind of just like passing the football back and forth and nobody takes accountability for it. Like, it's like 4 months to get the election thing right. You try to do all this thing, Sidney Powell, Linwood, and then it's like, throw it to Mike Pence. And he's gotten to say, like, it's like this. And then Biden's going to blow it, throw it back to Donald Trump. And then he's going to throw it to, it's like, they're kind of just like passing the hot potato and scamming us, in my opinion. But so, yeah, I don't want to be long-winded about it, but I just want the Republicans to take accountability for what they do and actually do it right next time. Because I have no faith that these people are going to do anything because they're not admitting what they did wrong last time. You get what I'm saying? If I like played in a soccer game and I'm kicking it the wrong way and I'm making all these mistakes and I'm not dressed properly, and you say to me, Anomaly, you did all these things wrong. If I don't admit any of that, I'm going to show up to the next game and do the same thing. That's how I feel about the Republicans. I don't think they've talked about any real issues at all. I think they fumbled the bag on the lockdown. They fumbled the bag on Operation Warp Speed. They fumbled the bag on CARES Act. They fumbled the bag on the mass mail-in ballots. Governor Kemp was ahead of Donald Trump opening the country, and Donald Trump threw a little hissy fit and said he was wrong. Donald Trump screwed up 30 times, and then he wants to cry about the election that he himself lost by screwing it up. If you want to blame the mass mail-in ballots, I agree with you. It's your fault, dummy. You were the one who did the first 10 steps to mass mail-in ballots, and then you cry about step 11. I'm so tired of the Republican Party. They're a bunch of fakes. Oh, it's China. It's Democrat. It's you dummies. You dummies get power. You do 50 stupid things. Then China or Democrats do number 51, and you act like you didn't lead them there. You know what I'm saying? It's like if I walk off a cliff and then someone pushes you, it's like, then don't stand on the cliff, dummies. So I'm so tired of this Republican victim narrative. Like, oh my God, we got it stolen. Yeah, by your own stupid party. They gave you step 1 through 40 to lose the election, and they walked through gleefully, bad-mouthing Sweden for staying open, bad-mouthing Governor Kemp early on when Governor Kemp opened his state. What do you expect? And now Donald Trump is Mr. Moderna, who doesn't take any accountability because he doesn't need to, because people in the Republican Party are brainwashed enough to be like, yeah, he didn't do anything wrong. The country is great. It's a big joke. It's such a joke. My faith is in myself, God, the beautiful world that's ahead of me, my ability to be a part of it. I have no faith in Donald Trump. I have minor faith in the Republican Party and what he's doing, not because of him, but because of who he surrounds himself by. I pray, make fun of me if you want, but I pray that Marjorie Taylor Greene gets more power than Donald Trump someday, because she'll actually do something about it. Donald Trump is just a big goofball, but I like people around him. Not everybody. He keeps a lot of snakes, but there are some winners in his camp, and I hope they get power. I hope Candace Owens or Marjorie Taylor Greene gets some power, so then something can actually be done about big pharma, because Trump's goofy, is not going to do anything. So, do I have faith in him to do something? No, it's a big clown circus where he constantly runs people in circles around the wrong narratives, and nobody cares and nobody wants to hear it. It's a joke. Marjorie Taylor Greene went on Alex Jones's platform. You should go listen to it. It was pretty good. I was pretty impressed. I was like, okay, Marjorie doesn't, she's banned now. Once you get banned, you go to Alex Jones. You're like, whatever, I'll go to Alex's now. She was saying a lot about big pharma. I was like, good for her. If hopefully she gets more power than like Jared Kushner. That's all I could really ask for from Trump, or at least hope for. Someone said Republicans haven't offered any alternative pathways up until this. They only finger point and gotcha politic. For sure. And this is what's so frustrating. I don't want to just complain, but it's so frustrating that if you want to say there's 50 steps to communism, right? They do number one. Obama does this, whatever. Now Trump gets in. He rolled out the red carpet for medical authoritarianism. He rolled out the red carpet for mass mail-in ballots. He rolled out the red carpet for big pharma. He rolled out the red carpet for Fauci. He literally rolled out the red carpet for Bill Gates. He loves Bill Gates. You think you're fighting Bill Gates? Trump loves Bill Gates, he's not who you think he is. But anyway, and then they lose after they rolled out the red carpet for all the people who hate them. And now they just cry Mike Pence election. You guys sound dumb to anybody who's not like a total Trump sycophant. I like Trump. I voted for him. I made a song about him. I'm not this big hater of the guy, but even to me, it's like an alternate reality where you guys just sound like a bunch of big baby cultists. I'm sorry. That's what it sounds like to me. Do I think that everything was fair? No, but I think if you want to go steps 1 through 55 to a not fair election, Republicans dug their own grave with steps 1 through 54 and then cried about step 55 as if they didn't pave the way to going there. It's like running a race 9 out of 10 steps and then someone passes you. Oh my God, it's him. It's you. It's the Republican Party. So it's I don't feel associated to any of these Republicans that are talking about any of this stuff. I feel like they're in their own little world that only makes sense if you're around people who listen to the same thing that you think. It's an echo chamber. Is it as bad as the Democratic Party? No. Would I vote Republican? All these Republicans in? Sure. They're better than Democrats, but is it this impressive, intelligent, free-thinking community of patriots? No, it's just a bunch of people with their head up Trump's ass that just say the same things he says and don't realize how, ignorant they sound to people that are using their brain through all this stuff. So, they play the victim on every issue all the time, get in power, do absolutely nothing, play this show. I have a clip of Trump before he ran saying we should talk to Bill Gates to close up the internet. He was talking about ISIS and Al Qaeda, but someone said I just pensed my pants. That's funny. But Shop, let me play the clip real quick because it's I'll tell you the context of what he's talking. This is when Trump ran. He didn't like whistleblowers. He doesn't like Snowden or Assange. He just played this role of Mr. Populist, and then he gets in and doesn't do anything to big tech. This was him while he ran. Listen to this.
A lot of people because of the internet. And we have to do something. We have to go see Bill Gates and a lot of different people.
Oh, we got to go see Bill Gates. Oh, yeah, that's really going to help us out, Trump. Go hang out with Bill Gates and see what he thinks about the internet. Let's listen.
People because of the internet. And we have to do something. We have to go see Bill Gates and a lot of different people that really understand what's happening. We have to talk to them, maybe in certain areas, closing that internet up in some way. Somebody will say, oh, freedom of speech, freedom of speech. These are foolish people. We have a lot of foolish people. We have a lot of foolish people. We've got to maybe do something with the internet because they are recruiting by the.
So that was him talking about fighting terrorism by closing up the internet. This is the same logic they have with the Patriot Act, all these things like using against the censorship. Now we can't do freedom convoys because they claim there's QAnon people in the group. This is the same logic. Oh, let's close the internet up because they're recruiting. Everything that you heard Trump say in 2015, they're using it against us. He was also trying to bully Apple into giving the San Bernardino shooter data away. And Apple rightfully said, we can't open up the phone because if we open up the privacy for this phone, no one has privacy. I don't like Apple, but I do give them credit for this. They literally, at this time, not anymore, but they had this ethical stance of like, we know you want to get info on this terrorist, but you don't understand how the internet works, bro. If you give up the encryption for just this one phone, literally no one has privacy. And Trump was one of these idiots on Fox being like, yeah, give it up, get the terrorists. He's so dumb in so many ways. He's smart in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways he's not. So it's like this idea that we didn't have the presidency for 4 years. Big tech got worse. Big pharma got worse. Trump helped them more than anybody has ever helped them in modern history. He took 2 steps forward with lowering drug prices and then 50 steps back with Operation Warp Speed. How am I supposed to just sit here on my platform and act like it's all Democrats' fault? And if we need these people to act right, but they're never going to act right because he has Republicans under a spell. He didn't do anything. He's got a plan. He's got no plan. We have to use our leverage to be like, yo, do something. Someone said squatty potty. I don't know what that means. All right, I'm going to roll out in a second. Someone said, I don't give Apple credit for that. Apple is known to not work with our American government openly and willing to work with communist governments. Same thing with Google. I hear you, but that issue, if you can break the encryption for one phone, it's very bad for others. So Apple also I know Facebook lost a lot of money also because Apple allows you now on your phone to see like, do I want cookies or do I want to give up my information? So that's why Facebook lost a lot of money too, because Apple allows the user actually now to say, I don't want you to read all my data and stuff. So I'm sure they're still doing it. Someone said, do I have a link to that video? I don't know. It's on my Twitter account if you follow me at Legendary Energy, but it's 2015 video though. He was running and saying, we need to close up the internet and talk to Bill Gates. He was talking about terrorism, but it's like, they always use terrorism as the intro to pass these broad laws. And then once they have them in, they use them against American citizens that are peacefully and, just not doing what the government wants. Yeah, I'm not trying to rag on him. I'm just saying I really pray that people actually pay attention and hold him accountable and realize that the Republicans don't have a plan and their entire plan is just pointing at the Democrats when, I'm going to vote for them because there's no other option, but I just don't find very many of them impressive. Marjorie Taylor Greene talks about Big Pharma. Ron Johnson's done a good job, I think, putting together those like doctor councils. There's a few winners for sure. And I hope that they get more power than the losers. But it's going to really come down to people, using their leverage to be like, we're not just going to follow you. I definitely have some faith, not so much in the politicians, but hoping that people figure it out. We'll see. Thank you guys for hanging out. God bless you. God bless America. God bless the world. Appreciate y'all. And someone said Ron Johnson from Wisconsin. He's the guy who put together the doctor council, right? He deserves a lot of credit. He seems like he's using his power for good from what I've seen. But thanks for hanging out. Hopefully this report, people hear it. And yeah, the GoFundMe story is crazy, but we'll figure it out, how to build, how to find resources that actually don't hate us. And, I have a lot to think about too, because I was about to build heavy on Patreon and, they're not as bad as GoFundMe, but who's to say that they don't do this to me as well, similar to GoFundMe. So I really have things to think about. And I want to say this too, to end on a positive note. When something bad happens like this, it always backfires. So for instance, say this charity, how many people donated $10 million? It's crazy that they're trying to give it to other people. Go get your money if you did donate to them. But people of this world are amazing. So like say, this folds, there's going to be a new website that launches and they're probably going to raise just as much money, if not more, on the other website. So every time they try to censor you or shut you down or take your money, God works in mysterious ways and people work in very gracious ways. So I think like if Patreon were ever to take me down or Facebook, it's bad. But at the same time, I think, people usually rally to your back and try to help you. So I think, as annoying as this GoFundMe thing is, I don't think it's the end of the world because I think it's going to launch a new, it's going to give a better one, way more attention, way more traffic. And I guarantee you those funds will probably be raised. So appreciate y'all. Have a beautiful day and, have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and it wasn't too downward. I always try to talk about complex issues and what I'm thinking without. I don't like to go in the downward. I like to go in an upward. But sometimes certain things you're just like, man, it gets crazy out here. Appreciate you, Larry. God bless you. Thank you, everybody on Facebook. Thank you, everyone on YouTube. I appreciate you guys so much. The strong ones, the real ones who can hang in the cut with me, hear things they agree with, disagree with, think about it, push back. It's all love. Thank y'all for being warriors. God bless you. Not literal warriors. We got to say that. They're like, oh, he's talking about. I'm talking metaphorically warriors. We're not really warriors. We're sitting on the couch. It's Friday, okay? We're not going to start a war. I just have to say that because then they'll be like, Anomaly made a call to action to warriors. I'm like, I'm not a warrior. I work out, but I'm more of like a video game warrior. I play Halo or something, and now I'm a warrior. That's what I mean. Leave me alone, Facebook. All right. Appreciate y'all. Have a good one.